Hello and welcome back to another video. Another new week means there is another new car pass car to take a look at, this time the XJ220S TWR. So last week I took a look at the XJ13, which is probably my favourite of the cars from the car pass that that's been revealed so far. And today is my second favourite probably, the other Jag, the XJ220S TWR, 680 horsepower, 1079 kilos. Let's hop straight into it and see what the deal is with this. Again, I did have to restart my game once to get it to know that I should be able to get this car. Okay, we've got some cool looking liveries already, but we won't worry about those for now. I think that's a colour. I think we'll go with a manufacturer colour to begin with, as we usually do, and then come back and put a livery on later. I think in addition to these, there's also a matte black one. But I'm very tempted to go with that just because of how green it is. We shall then. Okay, everything opens up. We can take a look at that, well, tiny six-cylinder engine, which should have been double that size. But anyway, let's not get into that now. So, the XJ220S TWR is a 1993 XJ220S modified by TWR, which is Tom Wilkinshaw Racing, who also did the Volvo 850R touring cars, although they weren't particularly successful, hugely iconic. But yeah, basically they took this and modified it for competition, although they made some road versions as well. But basically it's got 680 horsepower, which is up 138 from the normal XJ220's 542 horsepower, which is a huge chunk and propels it from 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds and takes it to a top speed of 228, which we will test that in a minute. Every panel basically is being replaced with carbon fibre. So it weighs in at 1,079 kilos, which is 391 kilos lighter than the normal XJ220's 1,470 kilo weight. But yeah, every panel except the doors are replaced with carbon fibre, so massively light, and that makes it sit at S1 class 848 PI here in Forza Horizon 5, which is almost an entire class higher than the normal XJ220, which is down in A at 767 PI. But yeah, super rare car again, not quite as rare as the XJ13, only one of those, but this is one of 9, and in fact only 6 of those 9 were the road-going version. So it's in fact a 1 of 6, basically. So we saw the 5 colours available there. I believe the 6th one is a matte black. I don't know if that one's been wrapped, but I've seen pictures of the blue one and the yellow one a lot. I haven't seen this green before though. But yeah, let's head on out and see what 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds feels like, and whether it can indeed hit 228 miles an hour. God, there's no power when you put it in second. Turbos. I think that's why. Must be turbo lag, surely. It's a shame this didn't have the engine it should. And it does look a bit weird, I have to be honest, with that race wing. The way they've removed the standard wing does look a little odd. Anyway, here we go. Let's see what the Jag can do. We haven't quite got the 0 to 60, there seems to be a lot of wheel spin there, so let's see what the top speed is in fact actually like. Right, there's 220, supposed to do 228. I think there is more of a downhill section. We'll run it both ways, because I think you might actually be able to get faster the other direction. 21. .221 seems to be pretty much it. And that is actually pretty impressive for what is essentially a racing car. Usually the top speeds are lower, because they're designed to race, and that kind of top speed is not actually that useful on the racetrack. So you can get kind of 224 is the highest we saw there on the downhill. I will quickly run it the other way, just to see if we can get 228 on a downhill. But being a sort of official top speed, it should be possible on the flat. It should go slightly beyond that going downhill, I think. Okay, this time we appear to be... Oh, it's dropped to 221 again. It was sitting comfortably at 222 on a flat bit, so hopefully, as we start heading down the hill, we can get that 228. 5, 6, 7, there it is. And nothing more. But anyway, quite pleased with that. It has hit the top speed it should. Let's have a quick look inside this thing, actually. I mean, it should be kind of like a... Yes. I mean, it's essentially an XJ220 with a racing steering wheel. What more would you expect from a racing car? Right, anyway, I think it's time to head on over to the festival circuit, as we do with all of the new cars that get added to this game, and see what this can do in 5 laps of Rivals. So, just before this, I have taken 2 other similar Jaguars round. I've taken the 1991 XJR15, which is probably the closest other Jaguar to this. It's a S1 Class 8 29 PI and did a time of a 105.0. And I've taken a normal XJ220 round. That is down in A class at 767 PI and did a time of 107.6. So we should beat that easily, and we'll probably most likely be, well, theoretically, a chunk faster than the XJR15, which is obviously a couple of years older for a one-make race series, whereas this was built to be competitive amongst other cars, but it does seem to have the same problem with gears, where you need to sort of be in first, and they're all a bit long and a bit weird. That kind of huge top speed is a bit odd in a racing car. I'd kind of expect shorter gears. This doesn't drive brilliantly. The XJR15 had so much better turn-in than the XJ220 was a bit sort of heavy and wallowy, and actually really struggled. It was actually slower than a Ferrari P4, I think. It was slower than some of the old racing cars. This should be a bit better, but at the moment it doesn't feel like it sort of has as much turn-in as the XJR15, which it should theoretically be. But anyway, first flying lap, let's see how we go on. First flying lap 1:03.9, that's not bad actually. It's already faster than both other Jags at that time, so... It doesn't feel like it handles as well as the XJR15. Maybe it's just got more power. Slight improvement onto the final lap. Oh, 1:03.3 and unflagged. That is quick, although I have to be honest, I prefer driving the XJR15. So we now have 21 times on the board after that went round, and not only did it beat the XJR15's 1:05.0 with its 1:03.397 as well as the normal XJ220 obviously, but it actually matched exactly the Ferrari Monza, which is sitting way up at 867 PI, and went quite a bit faster than the Aventador, which was only 1 PI lower than this. So really impressive that it went as well as the Monza. I mean, the Monza was a bit of a horrible thing to drive, if I'm honest, oversteering everywhere. So yeah, I'm not surprised. It was easier to drive than that, although I felt more comfortable driving the XJR15. I actually felt like that had gone faster. But yeah, this was quick. I think it just had the go on the straights, as well as that much more grip than the Monza in the corners. But yeah, that puts it into 7th place, or joint 6th place, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, very impressed with the XJ220 TWR's lap. It didn't feel that nice to drive all that fast, so I'm impressed with the result. But yeah, not terribly surprised. It just did well for its PI. But anyway, I think that means it's time to throw on a quick tune and then head back and see how it compares to the other modified cars we've taken round. So, in the upgrade shop, we'll take a quick look at some of the conversion and aero and appearance options, but as it's sitting below the middle of S1, so below 850 PI, I think we'll build it to the top of S1, partly because I hate S2 and partly because that's the sort of rules I'm going with when I'm building stuff. When I take a first look at these cars, I'm kind of building it to the top of the class it's in if it's below halfway into the class, or the top of the following class if it's higher than midway through. But anyway, generally I'll try and avoid engine swaps and drivetrain conversions as well, although a V12 is arguably the engine this car should have had, probably not that one. But anyway, you've got your usual, well, only one engine swap, which is quite unusual actually, and an all-wheel drive drivetrain. So yeah, generally I will try not to do those unless the PI requires it. You've got front aero, which is not actually that bad. I mean, you lose some of these cool sort of bits, but we might end up doing that. And Forza aero. Okay, I was worried they were going to remove that wing and replace it with Forza aero, but that's actually not hideous, so we might do that. But anyway, I'm going to finish off, those are sort of the bits we look at, the aero and the conversion, but I'm going to carry on building, and then, yeah, let's quickly throw on an S1 tune. So we've got the power up by 6 horsepower. It actually weighs slightly more, but that's probably because we've got some fatter tyres on there. Did bring out the spacers a bit, just because it looks slightly nicer, although it doesn't actually help. Got rid of the front aero in the end, because otherwise the tyres were going to take it over into S2. But we've got the tyres, we've got the rear aero, and we've lost a little bit of weight. No, gained some weight, sorry. Gained a bit of horsepower, lost a bit of, and gained a bit of weight. So we've undone some of TWR's impressive weight saving, but we've gained 6 horsepower. But more importantly, we have, well, a gearbox, because those weren't very nice, and the tyres for the turn-in. Anyway, let's go and apply a nice racing livery and see what it can do. So here is our finished Jag, complete with Le Mans livery, which, yes, I downloaded, but it's really cool. I'm hoping we haven't ruined it, because it did feel a little bit like it lost traction more easily, even though we've got better tyres. And I have shortened the gears quite substantially, because it wasn't really very good for a racing car. I suppose it's the road-going version, and we're trying to make it more like the racing one. So yeah, it is built to S1, and that's the category I've taken the most cars around the circuit from, rather surprisingly, because I don't usually like that cars that fast. But top of the leaderboard is still the Lamborghini Urus, with a time of 59.493. There's also an RX-7, the XJ13 from last week, on there in S1. The Celica, obviously, in a much lower class that we took around. But yeah, let's see if we can beat that Urus's 59.4 and finally get rid of the SUV at the top of the leaderboard. Oh, it's so nice, actually. I can carry so much more speed than I think. .59.1, so we're already 3/10 faster than the Urus, which isn't saying much. That obviously isn't a brilliant car. In S1, anyway. 59.1, but even faster, but flagged that time. Let's try and see if we can get a fast unflagged lap. No, I think we're actually going to be slower here. Oh, I thought that was faster. Oh, 59.1, still really good though. So I think I did get a little bit overexcited there. It did only beat a Urus, remember a Urus, an SUV, by just over 3/10 of a second. I mean, for things at the top of the class, I suppose that's still pretty good. And it also beats my RX-7 and my XJ13. So it's the best S1 class car that I've built so far, which isn't saying much, I know, but yeah, it still tops the modified leaderboard, which I'm pretty pleased with, and did, well, much better than its PI would suggest in the stock leaderboard. Now, next week I think every record will be smashed by the Ferrari FXXK. It's the first car we've had in a Forza game that starts right at the top of S2. Literally at the top of S2. So that's going to smash the stock cars leaderboard. Or, that's the theory. If it doesn't, I'll be quite disappointed in myself and the car, probably. But yeah, that should smash the stock leaderboard. And that probably means the first X-Class car will hit the modified leaderboard next week, which I won't have anything to compare to. Maybe I need to take an X-Class car around before that. But yeah, loved the XJ220, really pleased with how well it performed, because the XJ13 I was looking forward to more than this, but unfortunately it wasn't. It was good, it was a good car, but it wasn't brilliant. This, I feel like, is going to be a really, really fast car in Forza. So, once somebody who knows what they're doing gets their hands on it and tunes it, I think this is going to be super quick. I know the XJR15 is fast in S1, so it'll be interesting to see how this compares to that once some of the best tuners in the game get their hands on it. But yeah, I'm really impressed with this. It was the one I was second most looking forward to after the XJ13. Those two Jags, absolutely love them. But yeah, really, really pleased with how this is done, particularly in its stock form, being that fast, but also topping the modified leaderboards. But yeah, I will be back same time next week to test out the Ferrari FXXK Evo, the one with the big fin down the back that looks awesome. So yeah, I do very much look forward to driving that, although personally I prefer these two Jags. But yeah, that is going to smash some leaderboards, so look forward to driving that next week. But for now, that is going to do it for a first look at the XJ220S TWR here on Forza Horizon 5. So thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next video very soon.